Welcome back, students. We are going to continue discussing how to find a theme today. On Friday, I saw a lot of students come in with their themes, and on Monday as well. And I noticed a pattern in the themes, which is some themes were a summary of the story. And a theme and a summary are different. And some themes didn't really tell me the message of the story. So today we're going to review and continue building this skill. Our objective is I can summarize a story and find the theme. And success criteria is I understand that a theme is a message for me. I know the theme applies to everyone. I can write a summary and a theme of a story I read, and I can check my theme. Okay, here's a warm-up for you to do. Please do, when you see the warm-up, pause the video and try it, okay? Today's warm-up is, again, good theme, bad theme. And just remember that a good theme shows a lesson that's learned and why it's important. It should be a lesson that someone learns in the story, and it applies to everyone. Okay, it might use language like a person, someone, you should, or no one ought to. And it avoids, that means it doesn't have specific references to characters, details, and plot. So if I'm writing a theme for the Three Little Pigs, I shouldn't have things about pigs who are characters, or details from the story like sticks and bricks, or plot like getting boiled in a kettle at the end, right? I want to make sure that it does not have references, does not talk about specific things in the story, but is a general theme for me. So pause the video here and cross off the bad themes for the ant and the dove. I'll read them to you. You shouldn't throw rocks at birds. The ant helped the dove because the dove helped the ant. Help those who help you. Pause the video and cross off the bad themes. Okay. So you shouldn't throw rocks at birds. Well, that has specific references to characters, a bird, in the plot. So that's not right. The ant helped the dove because the dove helped the ant. Oh, well, again, that's kind of a summary of the story, right? And it still has those specific references to a dove and an ant. So we want to make sure it's more general. Help those who help you. Okay, does that show a lesson that someone learned? Yes, it's a lesson that the ant learned. Does it use general language like stuff like you or someone or you should? Yes. Okay. So you should have the top two crossed off. Try this one. The Fish and the Fisherman. The story was about a fish and a fisherman. A fisherman wanted to catch fish, but the only fish that he had was really tiny. So the fish asked him, "Please set me free. I'm so small." But then the fisherman said, "No, even though you're small, something is better than nothing." So there's my summary of the most important events in my own words. I want you to listen to these and see which one is the theme of the story. The fisherman caught a fish and kept it. Don't listen to fish. Something is better than nothing. Which of those is the theme? Pause the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, these two are not the theme. They're too specific. The first one is actually a summary. It's a very short summary, the most important events of the story, but it's not a theme. And this is a lesson, don't listen to fish, but it's too specific. It has a reference to a character from the story, a fish, okay? We want it to be more general for everyone. Fishes aren't getting up and talking to me. I still want a lesson from the story that I can take away. Remember, the theme is the message for me. Okay, it is a message. If your theme that you write doesn't have a message, something that someone should know and think about to do for their life, like I'm telling you to do something or don't do something, then you don't have a theme. Okay, if it doesn't tell you how to act, it's not a theme. All right. Once again, we're working on writing a theme. You need to ask yourself, what does the author believe? What does the author want me to believe? Okay, usually the theme is going to be either a problem gets solved, the author wants you to try solving problems that way, or a main character learns a lesson, and the author wants you, the reader, to learn that lesson too. So how do we do it? We write the author believes that, and then you fill in what the author believes. What is the message of the story for me? Okay, make sure that applies to the person who's reading the theme. Okay, if it has specific details like fish or birds or tacos, it's probably too specific. Okay, it needs to be a lesson that everyone can follow. All right, here's our first story. We're going to practice this skill together, and then I'm going to send you out to do it on your own. We're going to summarize, and then we're going to find the theme. Here we go. A fox one day saw a beautiful bunch of ripe grapes hanging from a vine growing along the branches of a tree. The grapes seemed ready to burst with juice, and the fox's mouth watered longingly as he gazed at them. The bunch hung from a high branch, and the fox had to jump for it. The first time he jumped, he missed it by a long way, so he walked off a short distance and took a running leap at it, only to fall short once more. Again and again he tried, but he couldn't reach. Oh, those juicy grapes, he can't get them. Now he sat down and looked at the grapes in disgust. Ugh. What a fool I am. Here I am wearing myself out to get a bunch of sour grapes that are worth nothing. And off he walked, angry and bitter. My picture says, those grapes are probably sour anyway. So at the beginning of the story, we found out the grapes are so juicy and nice and sweet, delicious. But the fox ends up saying, they're probably sour anyway, and walking away. So I'm thinking the theme has something to do with getting angry and then telling yourself something that's not true, right? He says they're sour even though they're sweet. So think about that lesson as you think about your theme. But to start, let's go ahead and write a summary. Remember that a summary retells the important events in a story. It's in your own words. You can use the somebody once but so then model, and that's a good model that we're practicing using, but not all summaries use it. If you retold the important events in your own words, then you summarized. So I would like you to write a summary of the story. You can use the somebody once but so then model or not, but either way it needs to have the important events. If you're having trouble writing the summary now, pause the video and go back to and listen to me reread the story to you, or pause the video and reread the text yourself. Okay, you should have a summary. If you don't have a summary, make sure you pause the video because I'm going to show you mine and I want you to compare it. This is your chance to practice this skill. Okay, here's my summary. It doesn't have to be yours. The fox, the main character, wanted plump, juicy grapes. That's their goal. But the fox couldn't reach them because they were too high. That's the problem. Here's what he tries to do to solve it. So he jumped and jumped. Then he gave up and said they were probably sour anyway. And that last piece is important for the theme, so I wanted to make sure I include it. I can find the theme of the story. To find a theme, ask, what does the author believe? What lesson does the main character learn, or what problem gets solved in the story? So the main character learns that when he's upset, when he's angry and bitter, he is going to say things like, what a fool I am. He's going to talk to himself angrily. Here I am wearing myself out to get a bunch of sour grapes that are worth nothing. But we know those grapes are ripe. We know they're great. We know they're nice. So this fox is lying to himself. So let's take a look at the themes that I said might be the theme and see if we can figure out. Check my themes that I thought might be the theme and see which ones are actually the theme. So when you check your theme, go ahead and write down what you think the theme is now. Let's pause and do that first. Write down what you think the theme is. Let's check our themes. Did you write a message from the author? Does your theme relate to everyone? And does it include an important lesson for the reader? And is that lesson actually in the story? The author believes that the fox wanted grapes but couldn't get any. Is that a message? Can I learn from that? No. That's a summary. That's a really short summary, but it's still a summary. Okay, next. The author believes that the fox is just mad because he couldn't get any grapes. Well, I think that's kind of a message, right? It's sort of like a message. Does it relate to everyone? No, it's still about that fox and grapes. I don't care about the fox and grapes. What's the message for me? What about this? The author believes that it is easy to hate what you can't have. It's easy to hate what you can't have. It does seem like that's a message from the author. It's easy to hate what you can't have. Does it relate to everyone? Yeah, it's talking to me. Does it include an important lesson for the reader? Yeah, I mean, it's important to notice when people are just being bitter, just being angry because they can't have something, and not necessarily pay attention to their opinion when they're angry about things. And is that lesson in the story? Yeah, I mean, that fox, really, he seems pretty upset, and he lies to himself about those grapes. So, all right, it's your turn. I'm going to ask you to summarize and tell me the message of a story. Here we go. It's a classic, The Tortoise and the Hare. The hare was making fun of Tortoise one day for being so slow. "Do you ever get anywhere?" he asked with a laugh. "Yes," replied the tortoise, "and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race to prove it." The hare was amused at the idea of running a race with the tortoise, but just for the fun of it, he agreed. They started their race the next morning. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try to race with the hare, he lay down by the course to take a nap until the tortoise should catch up. The tortoise, meanwhile, kept going slowly but steadily, and time after a time, passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, the tortoise was near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but he could not overtake the tortoise in time. So, the tortoise won the race. Okay, it's your turn. Summarize the story. Remember that a summary retells the important events in a story. It is in your own words, and it can use the somebody wants, but so then muddle. Take a pause here and summarize the story. It's going to be on your exit ticket. You can either go back and listen to me read it, or you can read it yourself. Okay, now it's time to write the theme. To find a theme, ask, what does the author believe? What does a character learn, or what's the problem that gets solved? When you think you have it, write the author believes that, and fill in the theme. Okay, so once you have a theme, you can use this to check it. If you don't have a theme yet, pause the video and make sure that you got one. Did you write a message from the author? Make sure your theme is not a summary. It should not be a list of important events. It should be a message, something that the author wants you to understand or believe. Does your theme relate to everyone and not just the characters in the story? Check your theme. Does it have anything about turtles or hares or races? Okay, if it does, it's probably too specific. Does it include an important lesson for the reader, and is that lesson actually in the story? Okay, make sure that what you're writing is in the story. It's coming out of the story, and is it really a lesson for me? Once you have your theme and your summary for the tortoise and the hare, get on Zoom and share it with your teacher. If it's after 9 o'clock, you should email it to me if you are in my class. Bye for now.